The maintenance log for the house on Delacroix Lane recorded a ventilation panel being sealed in 2009, which is a problem, because in 2022 a boy found that same panel removed and stacked neatly behind his winter coats. His name was Elian Porciu Reyes, and he was 13 the first night his mother left him alone. She worked intake at St. Bevel Memorial, a 12-hour overnight, and she left him a frozen lasagna, $40, and a note reminding him to lock the deadbolt. He ate half the lasagna at the kitchen counter and watched 3 episodes of a cooking show with the volume too loud, the way you do when the house feels bigger than usual. The neighborhood was ordinary in the way that makes a story worse later. A tidy row of 1940s bungalows, most of them owned by older couples, the kind of street where the loudest thing at night was the sprinkler timer. It had rained earlier. 62 degrees, the gutters were still ticking when he went upstairs. He heard the scratching around 11 o'clock. His first thought was a mouse, which was reasonable. His second thought was that the mouse was oddly polite because it stopped whenever he stood up. When he crossed the room, silence. When he lay back down, it resumed, slower now, like something patient enough to wait out a 13-year-old. He called his mother. She was on the floor with a patient and told him it was the pipes cooling, stay in bed, she'd be home by 5. He believed her for about 11 minutes. That's when the sound changed from scratching to dragging. 4 narrow lines pulled down the inside of the closet door. He opened it himself. That detail matters to the people who later studied the case because most kids don't. Inside he found coats, 3 plastic storage bins, and behind the bins, where the back wall should have been solid, a rectangular gap where the old panel had been lifted away. He assumed the sound was coming from behind the wall. He closed the door. He told himself something reasonable, the way we all do. A few minutes later, a voice from inside the closet said his name. Not a shout, a whisper, close to the wood, testing it out. He called his mother again and it went to voicemail. Then he locked his bedroom door, wedged his desk chair under the handle, and called the police from under his blanket at 11:51. 2 officers walked the house for 35 minutes. They checked the closet, the attic hatch, the crawl space access under the porch. They found nothing. One of them later wrote in the incident summary that the boy was credible but frightened, and that the closet gap appeared to lead to a shallow void. No occupant present. They left. Elian's mother got home at 4:40, hugged him, told him old houses talk. She didn't take it seriously until the next morning when she went to hang up the coats and noticed the scratches. They were on the inside of the closet door at the height of someone crouching, and they were fresh, pale lines in old paint, which meant the sound the night before had not come from behind the wall. It had come from the closet. Someone had been standing in it while her son slept 8 feet away. That was enough to bring out a proper crew. They pulled the panel and found the void was not shallow. It ran the length of the upstairs wall, tall enough to sit in, and someone had been sitting in it for a while. A camping mat. Empty water bottles lined up by size. A phone charger plugged into a junction box that shouldn't have had power. And a small hole cut through the drywall at exactly the height where a person lying in Elian's bed would be visible. Then they started dating things. A receipt for a sandwich from a shop 2 blocks over, time-stamped 7 months earlier. Food wrappers underneath the mat, compressed flat, layered like sediment. Someone had not been visiting the house. Someone had been living inside its walls since at least the previous spring, coming out when the family slept, moving through the kitchen, opening cabinets, learning the rhythm of 2 people who thought they were alone. Elian's mother remembered small things then. Cereal boxes emptied faster than they should be. A back door found unlocked. A phone charger she'd bought twice because the first one walked off. She assumed whoever it was had fled during the police search. That theory held until she went to check her nightstand and found her spare house key gone from the dish, where it had sat untouched for 6 years, which raised a question nobody wanted to answer out loud. If the intruder took the key on the way out, why take a key to a house he could already enter through the wall? The last discovery was structural. The void behind Elian's closet did not dead end. At its far corner, below the level of the floor, it opened into a narrow brick service tunnel, part of an old shared utility line that ran beneath the foundations of at least 4 houses on Delacroix Lane. The mat and the bottles suggested one person. The tunnel suggested access to homes that had never reported anything at all. The family moved out within the week. The house sold twice in 3 years, cheap. The current owners called the county in March. Not about a person, about the panel behind the upstairs closet, which they'd bolted shut when they moved in. They'd found it open again, And on the inside of the door, 4 fresh lines at the height of someone crouching, waiting to be let out.